Leonardo da Vinci, a name that evokes images of timeless masterpieces, visionary inventions, and a mind that transcended the limitations of its time. Leonardo's mind was a labyrinth of curiosity. His notebooks, over 7,000 pages of them that have survived, are a window into the soul of a man who saw the world not in pieces, but as an intricate puzzle of interconnected forces. For him, drawing was not just an artistic endeavor, it was a way to understand and explain how the universe functioned. He observed, dissected, and drew with a precision that was both scientific and artistic. For Leonardo, the art of sketching was not just about creating beauty, it was a form of thinking. This fusion of art and science, of aesthetics and mechanics, is what set him apart. The lines of his sketches didn't just capture an image, they held the potential energy of an idea waiting to take flight. His genius lay in his ability to marry art and engineering, to see the aesthetic in function, and the functionality in aesthetics. Where others saw fog, he saw a path. Where others used force, he used creativity. He lived at the intersection of imagination and innovation, constantly asking, what if? Are there people like this today? I believe so. One that stands out is Bill Volna of Minneapolis. Let's see what you think.
He had sort of a more Da Vinci-esque kind of genius.
He's passionate about fixing things and making things work. He's always trying to find a solution to some problem. That's probably what drives him.
All that experience with his shop, where he had all the tools and equipment to be able to do, make just about anything, to extremely accurate tolerances.
Oh gosh, he's probably more of the quintessential engineer, because he had this ability to build machines that build things.
You learn a certain kind of thing in school, but actually building things with your own hands gives you a perspective into the art and science of engineering that it's hard to get just from a book.
A young kid comes in there, maybe 20 years old. He comes in there wondering if you could get a bolt, like a 3/8 inch bolt with 4 inches worth of thread, hex head, for the belt tightening of a snowmobile, to tighten up the rubber track. We went through a pail full of scrap nuts and bolts, and I could tell right away, this is going to be hopeless.
Ah.
We went through this, and I looked at the kid and I said, why don't we make one? So I had him right at my shoulder, and I made a bolt of, what would you like, 4 inches? No problem. Hex head, no problem. And man, they really talked about that in the galley. This guy Volna made the bolt.
He was very visual. He was famous for his so-called VolnaCAD drawings.
What do you call it?
VolnaCAD. He's going to bring out VolnaCAD, and it's a piece of paper and a pencil, but just beautiful.
VolnaCAD. That was a little pad of paper and a pencil, and probably had an eraser there too for modifications. He would draw up the designs on his notepad and then take them down to the draftsman and have those guys put numbers on it.
He could really picture and visualize things in 3 dimensions that many of us couldn't.
But he was always helpful, kind, and also an interesting talker. He was able to had interesting opinions on lots of things.
He was pretty upbeat. Never saw him depressed around work. He took a lot of joy in what he was working on, was proud of his workmanship.
This is our little coin flipper here. What we're trying to illustrate is that if you know the conditions going into it, into the launching of a coin, if you know very accurately all the parameters that give rise to a flip, you can change the outcome of that flip. That was the heads, huh? Dealing with coefficient of friction between the firing pin and the trigger, and you can make that into an inclined surface.
Uh-huh.
The matters of friction, you have a real highly polished pieces, and boy, you could make that trigger so dangerous that it would go off just too easy. Here, we got a heads down there.
There you go. Yeah.
And if that's not enough, Bill had his own version of a modern Mona Lisa.
I told him it took me 9 years to build. And I said, you would like to borrow it for a year to do what? He asked me if I would stop at Yerkes when I went home.
The project that we were operating under was called the Center for Astrophysical Research in Antarctica. It was a National Science Foundation institute, and it was up to an 11-year grant, and our proposal was to put a suite of 4 different astronomical projects down at the pole.
We had some plans for meteorologic measurement of the steadiness of the sea down there.
We were able to get his little telescope down there, and it was just a little bit, just a little cubicle that you could sit in, and it had a heater so that you wouldn't freeze to death in the winter too in Minnesota.
He wondered if we could keep it for another year because of this Jupiter thing. See, and I kind of groaned a little bit. He said, I'll tell you what, if you come down, you can pack it, take it home. How's that sound? I said, terrific. So that's where I bought another whole month at the pole.
Well, I think that in engineering, it's somewhat analogous to mountain climbing. You work your ass off to get to the top of Everest, and then, wow, this is it.
Okay. So there isn't much excitement till the very end.
I think that, yes, that's usually what gets you a Nobel Prize. I have on the wall downstairs, next to my PC, a bunch of little sayings that people like Voltaire and Einstein.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's Bill Volna. And what Volna says is, how far is up? No one will ever know.